Good morning, everyone. I request everyone to please on their cameras, please. So, welcome everyone on a webinar today on career opportunities in broadcasting. We welcome our host for the day, Ms. Shivani Naik. Shivani, I request you to please take the event forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Divya ma'am. So let's start. Okay, good morning to one and all the distinguished guests, my fellow students, faculty of the IMM department, and all those who have tuned in. Today, we celebrate a remarkable day that is the National Broadcasting Day. It marks the anniversary of the very first radio broadcast in our nation, a moment that ushered in a new era of communication and connection. From those early days, broadcasting has evolved into a powerful force, informing, educating, and entertaining millions across the vast tapestry of our country. Today, as we are present here to get some insights from the professionals about the various aspects of the broadcasting industry, we are extremely privileged to have them on board today as our guest speakers and guiding us with the career opportunities in the broadcasting. But before the commencement of our webinar, it would be incomplete without our Dean of IMM department, that is Dr. Subrashi Sir. He is a skilled strategic thinker, a media communication and management enthusiast, and a supporting mentor. So may I please request Sarkar Sir to please say a few words as we start the webinar.
Okay. Thank you very much, Shivani. Am I audible and visible to everybody?
Yes, you are.
Great. So thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Good morning to each and everyone who has joined this webinar. My compliments to each one of you to accept our invitation and coming together with us to celebrate this wonderful day of National Broadcasting Day together. So, if I have to, share just a few thoughts of mine on broadcast and the importance of this particular day. So, broadcast media, primarily, as I understand, is a very dynamic form of media. Now, why I say dynamic? If I have to compare it with print, it is very static. Broadcast is the medium which is absolutely dynamic, which includes the sensory form of audio-visual communication with the consumer. That helps in sharing your audio, video content with a very large group of audience through platforms like radio, television, and online streaming platforms. Now, if I also have to look at it from the business point of view, largely this is an extremely important media which is worth almost 114,000 crore rupees and thereby contributing to the largest share in the Indian media business. And therefore, it is also the fastest growing media in India and across the world, primarily because of the contribution of pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, which happened recently. I'll tell you how. So, broadcast media market has witnessed a significant evolution over the years, driven by relentless advancements in technology, changing consumer preferences, and of course, the evolution of modern consumption patterns of consumers. So while broadcasting serves as the foundation of entertainment and information industry, offering extensive array of television, radio, digital media contents and services, COVID-19 pandemic actually contributed unprecedented and staggering growth, primarily across all regions compared to the pre-pandemic times. And since then, broadcasting has got overhauled together in terms of the phenomenal growth that it has experienced. And it is because during the pandemic, consumers had a very, very big inclination towards content consumption, live content consumption, and also that motivated many to become contributors and content creators across. So that has grown this medium phenomenally. So one very important fact about this media is that even if if you have to think from this point of view, even if some consumer is really illiterate, this media can impact even them because it involves the sensory form, audio and the visual largely, and with limited requirement of reading. If I have to compare it with print, and hence this media is very, very dynamic. Okay, it also has many such interesting facets beyond a few that I have just spoken about. Hence, let us today all together get to understand the wonderful career opportunities for young minds like you who have joined in this webinar from our industry expert panel of speakers who also have made us proud as a star alumni of this very institute, that is Met Institute of Mass Media. So I welcome the panel of speakers who have spared their time to come here and share their thoughts and their wisdom to you all young minds in shaping your career in the field of broadcasting media. So without further ado, I request the speakers to take it ahead, and we are very eager to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your kind and encouraging words. As you said, without a further ado, we should start with our webinar. So let me introduce us to our first guest speaker, Nilambar Majumdar, sir. Majumdar, sir, is at an esteemed position working as a deputy editor at Star Plus, a dynamic television media professional with 15 years of experience creating content of various genres like drama, comedy, historical, and some of his acclaimed projects include, now since he's associated with Star Plus, he is with Saas Bahu Aur Baby with season 2, Sasural Genda Phool, Maryada Lekin Kab Tak, Pyar Ka Dard Hai, and he's also been associated with Colors, with shows like Chakravarti and Ashoka Samrat, Tu Ashiki, and many more. Now his work has gradually transformed into the bustling OTT space as well. And I would also like to say that Nilambar sir is an avid reader as well, a movie buff, and he loves to tell stories which can be witnessed through his shows. Sir, please take this webinar forward with your guidance. Thank you, and we welcome you here.
Thank you, Shivani, for such lovely words. I don't know, how much they have impacted, but yeah, I enjoyed making those shows that you spoke about. And thank you, Dr. Sarkar. It's been a privilege to be called to my college and to speak on this topic. And yes, I would like to spend the next few minutes to speak about my particular role in uh, exactly what I have been doing for so many years in the broadcasting industry. So yes, I have primarily worked in networks, starting with Star Plus, and then I moved to Colors, and then I moved back to Star Plus. That's what we keep doing, to make those jumps and career progressments. So just to begin with, content, I would like to say that content is at the heart of any broadcasting business. So even if the network has a lot of other departments and a lot of other things that they do, but content is at the heart of a broadcasting business. So people who love content, who love telling stories, who are passionate about creating stories and characters, for them this is definitely a very fertile and a very very open field without any limits. um uh, I will just take you guys through basically. See, I have not prepared any slides and presentations to show you guys. I'll just talk about honestly about what the kind of work that I do, and you guys can grasp. And take these small takeaways about where your individual interests lie. I will talk about purely the kind of work that I do. I in the content programming of a channel, wherein we kind of we make shows from scratch, and then we put it on air, and then the weekly battle of the TRPs begin, and then we fight with all our passion. And so yeah, so what happens in a network is like there's obviously an FPC given to us, wherein there are certain slots for which basically prime time programming, which earlier used to start from 8 to 10, and now it has become 6:30 to 11. because we want more people to sit at home and watch television, and so that everybody is happy and everybody is making money and just watching different kind of shows. So first and foremost is like we select a particular slot which we think that okay, we need a show for this particular slot. And sometimes we get into a research, basically what kind of audience is available at that kind of at that particular slot, depending on what an individual channel's target audience is. And we try to, more often than not, to kind of come up with storylines and characters that would uh, what do you say, that would attract that particular set of audience. So understanding the slot at which we are wanting to put a show, what audience would be available to see that particular show at that particular slot. It involves research and it involves consumer insights. So we have a department for that. They come and give us their opinions and their data, that on at about 6:30 you have a lot of tier 2 or tier 3 college students, and ladies who are just a little free at that time, just before they are getting into the kitchen. So they have a particular, so so we know what kind of shows would attract audiences at 6:30 or like that. And particularly similarly, different slots that we program shows for. um, as they say, uh, television is a writer's medium. So the first thing that we need to that we aspire to do is to get our story in terms of characters set. I mean, what is the, and obviously because we television is um, more what do you say, um, more about the ladies, and we want to make shows for the female protagonists, because the female audience is much more watching television than the male audiences. So getting a story for a woman, about a woman, and a various kind of tracks and characters, like I mean, not just physical traits. What are her aspirations, where does she come from, what is her demographic, and what is her socio-economic status, how educated or uneducated she is. These kind of overall characterizations we come up with, and then we blend it into a plot, like I mean, and there are a few very standard story what do you say, story tracks which are universal, like you have the Cinderella template, or you have the underdog template, or you have the taming of the shrew template. So based on these few ideas, we kind of reinvent, reimagine, and we kind of develop the character of the girl primarily, and around which we base her world. Now when we are trying to base her world, and where does she live in, and what does she do in this, definitely research comes into play, because we come to know that if we are making a show at particular slot, and at that slot, what should we, what market should we target? Should we target Bombay SECA, or should we target a Gujarat SECA? There's a difference between the two markets. And based on that, like then we set the world in which the girl would be. And that is the first and prime the first and foremost thing that we try to do, is to get a girl's character in place. The second thing that works on television, on television shows, is the romance. You have a girl, with issues, and then to solve those issues, you have a boy who would uh, either be against her or with her. So romance works very big on Indian television. If you see the last 10-15 years of television, the biggest shows that have worked have had a very very strong romance base between the lead characters, which has really worked with the audiences, and they have sat down to watch their journey. For example, shows like Diya Bati, or for example Pyar Ka Dard Hai, and Anupama, which is currently going on. So that whole journey of a woman, and the hope of, a journey of a woman who has a lot of obstacles that she needs to overcome, and the hope that the hero would be there to help her or support her. That's what makes the audience glued to their television screens to watch the stories. So yeah, the first and foremost, as I said, was uh, uh, locking the world and the character of the girl, and then developing the story around it. Once we get the story in place, sometimes it's the network that gets the story with them, or sometimes we have production houses who come with pitches to us, and we listen to those pitches, and if we like it, we ask them to develop it, and then obviously things move ahead. So a network always requires a production house to run and produce these shows, and put them on air. So it's a very symbiotic relationship between a network and a production house, which is very very creative, and very very time consuming, and very very passionate, because it's all about putting the right content on air. Whether it works, more often than not it does work, sometimes they don't work, but the point is, the idea is to put a good product on air so that everybody, we feel creatively satisfied. So yeah, we get the production house, and then we start developing the show further with them. So what happens is, more often than not, we ask for a 6 months story arc from the production house, whoever is writing the show. We have a group of writers. We select a group of writers who would help us develop the show, and we ask them to give us a 6 months broad story, so that at least we know what are the tent poles. Because what happens is, we need those things to plan our promos and marketing campaigns. So what happens is, now we know the girl's character. For example, Anupama, a story of a housewife who's middle aged, and who is the binding force of our family. She's got a husband, in-laws, and grown-up children, but she is not taken very seriously, and she's always looked down upon by her husband because she is not very modern. uh, so that is, so in a story like that, when I have to start launching, promoting the show. So the first launch promo would talk about a character, that this is the character of the this is the character, this is her story, please come to watch it. But we also need to know what is going to be the next big high points that we need to promote, which is why a 6 month story gives us a clear picture where the story will move ahead. And more often than not, yeah, the shows do well, and we are easy because we have the story with us. But many times, the shows don't pick up, and then we scrap those stories, and then we write, and that's another topic that we can discuss some other time. But generally, this is what we do. And once we get a 6 month story, then we get them to ask them to develop in detail the monthly stories. The monthly stories then get broken down into episodic stories, screenplays, and then on which dialogues are written. So this is the basically the writing part of how a show is developed. So you have a broad story writer, you have a story. A broad story writer usually writes the episodic stories as well. You have a screenplay writer and a dialogue writer. This is generally the writing department that takes care of the writing, the show. And simultaneously, while this is happening, we are also planning, the low feel. If it is in Gujarat, are they rich or are they poor? Based on that, we have references. We have very good art designers in our industry who come with superb references for houses, and what kind of sets would be required now, because we are daily soap, and we do 7 days a week. Shooting on real locations is not feasible for us because the economics don't work, which is why most of the times, not most of the times, mostly on Hindi GECs, uh, the shows are shot on sets. We construct sets with basically the boys house, because eventually most of the template that is currently in trend is the girl will have something to do, and then eventually she marries into the boys family, and then the whole drama shifts to the boys family. And then which is why we need a big, nice big set for the boys family. And then we have the girl's family, because post marriage sometimes we have these scenes with the parents or whatever. The girl has to be thrown out of her house and she comes back to stay with the parents, so we have that. And then we have some few spaces, like, maybe if there's an office space in the store, in the story, so we'll have an office. Or if there is something to do with some profession of the hero or the girl, so we'll have that kind of set. And some market spaces. So this is how basically a set is designed of a particular show. Ladki ka ghar, boys house, some office space, maybe some market space. So in this purview we try to finish shoot most of the show. Of course we do real locations. Sometimes we do go by real locations, I mean film city roads and the film city temples. That is where we go, because it's all about the economics of the show. So this is how we plan the sets, based on how where we want to base the story. That is one aspect. Along with this, we also have a team of costume stylists who are constantly sharing with us look references of how the heroine will look, the hero will look, the vamp will look. Yeah, we have vamps in daily soaps. Yeah, because they give us ratings. And yeah, so the costume stylist is there. She is the one who is there with us throughout the show, because we are constantly changing, like, after every maybe month or 2 month, the show takes a little jump, or the heroine's character changes a little, so we want to variate with her costumes and her look. So that is another very important aspect of a show, the costume. So the sets are done, the costumes are being made, the writing is happening at the same time. In amidst all this, obviously the commercial negotiations with the producer and us are taking place, of what would be a particular episodic budget that we all need to arrive to produce this show. Generally, earlier there used to be a lot of budgets on Hindi GEC shows, but yeah, over a period of years, especially post pandemic, the costs have come down, because we all want to be a little more cautious about our expenditure and not go overboard, so that everybody can be happy. So though that commercial discussion is happening, and once the budgets and everything are locked, we are okay with what we have kind of made on paper. Our casting, yes, casting is also an important aspect of making a show, because we can't have a show without actors. So yes, definitely. And if you see, if you guys see, most of the shows that have done well have had actors who have resonated with the cast. That they will I mean, sorry, with the audience. There will never be a show which has done well where the actors are terrible and audiences have loved it. It will never happen. So that is a very, very again, a very, very important aspect. And uh, and getting the right cast, getting the right actor is again, uh, I would say, you need a vision for it. You need a creative vision. I mean, the writer and the person who has come up with the germ of an idea. And for example, I mean, I'll give Anupama's example, because it is the show right now. So to get a actor who would portray that character of a middle-aged woman, who is feeling left out by her family, that pain and pathos to be depicted on screen. So the kind of actor that we need for that, so again, that becomes a very important aspect of making a show. That So yeah, so once we are very, very sure about what we are about to make, we decide the day that, okay, fine, after 2 months or maybe after 3 months, we will be putting the show on air. And we always wish that we should start shoot a little earlier, so that when we go on air, we have a decent enough telecast bank, so that there are no hiccups in terms of deliveries, because that is also an important aspect, especially in a 7 days a week scenario. But more often than not, that doesn't happen. I mean, that's a real picture that I'm telling you guys, that it is absolutely mad rush, because more often than not the launch dates will change. more often than not uh, More often than not, you will not be able to start begin your shoot on time, because some marketing or some promo thing uh, has changed. So yeah, so by the time basically you are on floors, and the window of the launch, that is something that gets, what do you say, obviously missed. So yes, we begin shoot, and then episodes start coming in. We start liaisoning with the production house, and if the episodes look good, everybody is happy. We start ingesting them. We have an entire team that does quality control in our channel. There is a operations team that basically does quality control of the episodes, because earlier we used to do SD, I mean, small standard definition, and for the last 14 years, in fact, yeah, 14, no, 12 years, we've gotten into HD, and now we are also planning to get into 4K telecast of our episodes. So you have quality checks, in the networks, to see that the episodes that have come in, are they within the our guidelines, that our telecast guidelines. So once that is okay, the episode is ready to go on air. Once the episode has gone on air, it's like, baby has been delivered. But it's just that, in our daily soap lives, we are delivering babies every day. And then we are also delivering the pre-babies. For example, like, if the ratings have not come, so we, more often than not, we scrap those stories, and then we have these again discussions with the writers. We call them over, and then we jam and jam. So what happens in this jam is, sometimes the shoot is delayed or stopped, and again, you have telecast issues, and it's madness. uh, so the best, I mean, it may sound chaotic, but it is a lot of fun, because you are constantly jamming, you're constantly thinking about your show. You're constantly thinking, as a network executive, how to make this show a success. You're constantly thinking how to promote it well, market it well, and while all the time seeing that the quality doesn't suffer, and you are enjoying what you do. You are also jamming with multiple departments in the network, like the marketing team, the promo team, the research team. For example, the ratings are not coming, I mean, for some reason it's been like, not very receptive. So you go to the research team and you ask them that, can you do a little bit of a qualitative or quantitative analysis, and let us know, where are we going, or what are we missing. So we have this research team. For example, if the show was based in Gujarat, so we do a kind of a qualitative research in our target markets. We have an agency who we hire to do this, and then the network executives, they go with them, and we see that, what is the issue, and they, more often than not, they come up with really good insights of what has been missed and how we can do course correction. That is, in case the show is not being picked up by the viewers. But we also do this, even if the show is doing phenomenally well. We do this analysis also to know what can we do better. So it research also forms a very big part of our of the life of a show, because they keep giving us timely insights and data to help us stay on the correct track, and also to course correct in case we are kind of not hitting the mark. Apart from that, the other important thing, what do you say, another important department associated with the life of a daily soap is the ad sales department, because they are the ones who are getting the money for the network, and they are the most important people. Yes. We all have disagreements with them. They come with integration ideas. They have sold a show to a particular brand, and then that brand wants us to do an integration into our show, product placements, basically, sabun leke aayenge, gadi leke aayenge, and तेल चावल ये सब लेके आएंगे, and they would want us to do. So yes, that also how we maneuver that, and not make those product placements look very very inorganic. That is also a kind of a challenge that we face. But they are important because they're getting the money, so we can't tell them no, but we kind of uh, work with them. And yes, there is another important department. It's called standards and practices, SNP. They are we, and we are like, siblings who never get along, because their duty is to uphold all the standards and practices of a particular channel's guideline and policies, so that no incorrect content is going on air. Because what happens nowadays, earlier there used to be just one or two feeds, it would be India or maybe some other country wherever the channel was playing. But now, because of digital platforms, you also have the shows being put on a digital platform. For example, Star Plus, you have a show which plays on Star Plus at 9 o'clock, but then you also have that show available on Hotstar. So once it's available on Hotstar, Hotstar is available in many other countries. So the guidelines of those particular countries may be different from the guidelines that we have in our country. So the particular episode, the SNP's the responsibility is to see that there is no such thing in content which might offend or be against policies of that particular country. So we have to be very mindful about that. Using too much of violence, using explicit words, sexual connotations, double meaning lines, violence against women, violence against children. All these things are given all these things are what do you say held by the SNP, and they give us guidelines of how to shoot certain sequences, or how not to. Like, for example, now it has become very very important that if we are having kids in our show, especially kids who are below 14 years of age, we need the authority and the approval of a district magistrate that the kid is mentally okay to shoot. And if there is a kid in our show who is doing a longer track, then we need to have timely counseling for the kid, and we need a report that says that the kid is mentally okay, nothing is affecting him, and that report has to be submitted to the standards and practices team, so that they know that yes, this production house is kind of and this show is taking care of all the parameters. And yes, so with these departments and the content team, the show goes on, and we make our lives simpler and happier, and we keep enjoying what we do. And sometimes what happens, like, it's not just one show. Like, in the content team, you have a structure, right? Coming to the content team, you have a programming head in a content team who basically decides what kind of uh, shows and what kind of programming would be beneficial for the channel. And then there are teams below the programming head. Sometimes you have a fiction head below the programming head, and then there are teams below them. Or sometimes there's no fiction head, you just have a programming head, and then you have group heads, maybe two or three or four group heads below the programming head. And those group heads work on multiple shows. And then there are teams below the group heads who are working on individual shows or two shows depending on the seniority. That is kind of a structure of a programming team. But then everybody has to align with the uh, uh, with the creative vision of the programming head, because it has to be in sync with what kind of shows we want to tell for a particular channel. Like, I mean, if you must have noticed, the kind of shows that you would see on Star Plus is quite different than the kind of shows that you would see on Colors and Z and Sony. So because they all have different target audiences, and they all have uh, different target markets. So based on that, the kind of programming is different. So all this that we do on one particular show, sometimes you are doing 2 or 3 shows at the same time, and you are doing all of it on 3 shows. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it is a lot of fun. And if you are really passionate and really love telling stories, and you may laugh at the, I mean, you may laugh at, or maybe look down upon the kind of content television makes, but you have to understand the kind of reach and impact these shows have on India, and how many people, how many crores of women and families these shows are reaching out to and impacting. So if, I mean, so yeah, I'm being passionate about storytelling, being passionate about giving out you know uh, content day in day out, 7 days a week. If you are in for it, then this is like the place for you. So yeah, I mean, that's all I wanted to say. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there's a discussion actually. Thank you, Niramba sir. But I mean, thank you for the words actually. You specified and differentiated into different departments. That's a very nice thing. But I would like to ask anyone actually in the meeting present if they have any questions for Niramba sir, especially with what he's explained. Okay, there's Samiksha. She's raised her hand. Samiksha, you can ask question directly.
Good morning, sir. So I have this question. At times, to fund the niche audience, the writer has to compromise on the script as well as to maintain all the guidelines. So how disheartening it is, and how do you deal with the this situation as well?
so as I said, it is quite a challenging job, Samiksha. I mean, thank you for your question. It's a very valid question, and which we have quite often when we are making shows. But then that is the challenge, and that is the nature of the beast, and that is the world we live in. We find ways. I mean, we find ways of coming to a middle ground, you know not compromising a lot on what the writer is wanting to say, and also keeping in mind that the guidelines set by the various teams are not offended. Like, we do have, like, I mean, sometimes we do have a fight with them and say, "Okay, we will put a scroll, or something. We will put a, or maybe we let us put this particular visual in the original telecast. For example, Anupama comes at 10 o'clock in the night. So I will put this particular shot in the 10 o'clock telecast, but I will remove it from the repeat master. So for example, daytime, or on Hotstar, if people are watching any other time, unko wo nahi dikhega. But uh, we please understand, we program our shows in a network. For our primary agenda is to put the best content for the original telecast, which is, for example, Anupama is supposed to go on air at 10 in the night. That is the time slot decided. As a network executive, my responsibility is to ensure that the best content goes in the original telecast, even if I have to compromise a little bit for the other repeats or maybe hotstar, I will do it, but that should be sacrosanct. So that is sometimes we kind of come to the middle ground with the SNP. Writers always have issues, I mean, and I get that, because writer is very passionate, especially when you're writing 7 days a week. It's not easy to write a screenplay every day. But yes, people management is one of the biggest strengths and strengths a network executive should have, because a network executive is interacting with multiple departments on daily basis, is liaisoning with the production house. You have many people in the production house with whom the network executive is also interacting with. So people management managing lot of these people to ensure that your product is good is a very important skill set a network executive should have.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Samiksha. I hope your queries are solved. There's Tia Pardal as well. Tia, you can ask your question if you want.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking the lecture today. I was very excited to attend this lecture, and I wanted to ask that there for a certain female character, if she asks for a certain raise in her, the budget, her budget, how do you manage each and every one's budget in the entire group then? And you know she is the one you want for the cast.
We negotiate. We negotiate. I mean, that is, again, that is also a nature of the beast. As I said, people management, so we also have to manage actors. And I think my colleague who will be speaking after me would be in a better position to talk about these things, because budget negotiations usually happen from the production house end, and they will ask for 100 and we will want to give them 10 or maybe 5, and then it goes into a loop. So yeah, it's a fun thing, but we kind of manage. Sometimes what happens, I mean, I will ask my colleague only to take it. I mean, you can ask that question, but yeah, all I'm saying is we manage. Most often than not, we do sometimes manage this.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
There's Lionel as well who also want to ask question, I'm guessing. Lionel?
No, it was my
Okay,
mistake.
till then I'll ask my question. Okay, yeah. Please ask.
Lionel Pereira, yes, please put your camera on while you're talking. Please ask your question.
No, sir, it was by mistake.
Okay, no worries. I actually have a question.
Yes.
You said that generally the basic plot is that there's a girl, there's a boy, there are family disagreements. Somehow they fell in love and everything. But would you be able to tell us how as a writer, as a producer, or in the industry, how do you differentiate? How do you want to make this very unique or different from the other show?
So I'll tell you something. As I said, there are certain templates which are very universal, like a Cinderella story, or a David and Goliath story, or a underdog story. So if you will see, a lot of films, even in the West, follow this particular kind of template, right? Taming of the Shrew again is another template. So you break down those templates to their bare structure, and then you make them wear new clothes. That is also what we do. I mean, it's an art. So I mean, as I said, I mean, if you can understand, you really need to be you can't be as I said, I'm reiterating it, you have to have that creative vision in you. You need to have the art of telling a story and understanding a story template to be in a creative industry. Because I've seen people struggle with story tracks and ideas. I've seen people not able to uh, come up with tracks when we are stuck at a particular story junction. It's only because there's a lack of understanding that what is at the ground basic level of the plot. Like, for example, what do I tell you, there was a show on Star Plus called Satya. I'm sure everybody has seen it. That is a classic Cinderella story. Now, the Cinderella story that we've read in books, right? Step daughter, Stepmother has hurt her children. The step sisters don't treat the Cinderella well, and then there is a prince who will come. That story that we've all heard. But what we did is we removed the prince, princess, all that angle, and we put this structure in Gujarat, where there is this girl who is totally naive. So what we do is, how different do we make a Cinderella, like the Cinderella that we've read? Oh, she was endearing, she was charming, but she was not dumb, or she was not naive. So that is another character that we will add to our girl to make her a little different. This is what we basically do. So the Gopi Bahu of Satya was little very naive. She did not know. She did not even know what the laptop was, which is why she washed it with soap, right? You know? However unbelievable it sounds, but it worked when it.
And also dried it up on the string, I believe. That was the funnest part.
So, however unbelievable it sounded, but we remember that when that episode did go on air, and we were all laughing inside in our office, but there were people who actually told us that there are people who actually did not know what a laptop was, and they were like, wow, she did a good thing, साफ तो करके दिया अपने पति को, तो क्यों गुस्सा कर रहा है? So we were shocked. कि yes, so it also opened our eyes. कि yes, people in people in India even in 2010 are so innocent and naive. So these are the kind of little insights that we keep on adding to our characters. To, yeah, as I said, same structure, new clothes.
And Nilambar, did it also have the Rasode Mein Kaun Tha?
Yes, yes, yes.
That is I believe, the iconic dialogue which has been taken ahead in leaps and bounds furthermore beyond just that episode, beyond just that serial.
In fact, I think that show got a new lease of life during pandemic when Star did not have any show. We
Correct.
decided to put Satya on air, and then everybody just loved Rasode Mein Kaun Tha.
Rasode Mein Kaun Tha became a phenomenal thing in video.
So as I said, the writer writes something and then the actor adds, so that became a very good, potent combination. So that, yeah.
Thank you so much for explaining really well. Anyone else, would you like to ask questions to Nilambar sir? I think no one. I mean, you've cleared most of our doubts.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. So thank you, Nilambar sir. Now we will move forward to our second guest of the webinar.
Thank you so much, Shani. Thank you, Pooja. Thank you, Dr. Sarkar. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Nilambar. Thank you for coming here and sharing your thoughts, your words of wisdom, and also the snippets from your real life experience in the broadcasting world. And I believe it has been quite enriching in terms of the knowledge that our participating students in this webinar have gained from you. So many thanks. I extend my thanks.
And I'm extremely sorry I will have to leave right now because I just have another meeting to attend. But it was pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. No problem. Work comes first. So, Nilamba, thank you very much. And hoping to see you in more such webinars as well as live events happening in the Institute in the future.
Definitely.
Right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nilambar. You've opened so many insights for us. Thanks a lot. You're really good.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. All right. With this, let's start with our next guest, which is Mr. Siddhav Nachne sir. He's the group head at Z Marathi. So for all the Z Marathi and the Maharashtrians out there, so as I said, he is associated with Z Marathi, and he's currently working on 3 fiction shows, which are also on the prime time, and is working as a group head. So the shows include firstly Shiva, which is about a family entertainer and a family drama, which personally even my family watches. Then there's Sarakahi Tichasati, which is again a family drama, which is again with the backdrop of beautiful Konkan. And then third is the Punha Kartavya Ahe, which is a story about difficulties of a second marriage and how people overcome all the obstacles in it. So as I said, he's associated with Z Marathi, but he was previously associated with Sony TV. as a creative director and as a script head for the show. The show was named as Mere Sai, which also gained a lot of popularity. You all must know. So today he is present here to give us some insights of the industry and also help us understand how we can enter into this field and what are the uh, ifs and don'ts of this industry. So welcome, sir, first of all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Sarkar, MIT Institute of Mass Media, and Pooja for inviting me for this webinar. I have some of the fondest memories of my life in MIT. Those 18 months were magical for all of us, and whenever we meet all our friends, we always remember the kind of time we have spent there, the movies that we have watched together, all that. So really thank you to MIT Institute of Mass Media for inviting me and for arranging this webinar.
Welcome, Saurav. And it is really wonderful to have you here amongst us in this webinar. And as I have already stated in my welcome note, you are one of our star alumni, and we are very proud of you.
Thank
And
you.
feel very happy to have you here. And
Thank
same
you. Thank
was
you.
Nilambar is also one of our star alumni.
Yes.
Siddharth, thank you very much. Thanks for being here, and we are very eager to hear from you.
Yes. So, to get back to our topic, basically what Nilambar spoke largely was about the way how channel functions, and how channel uh, makes sure that the episode is delivered on time, and in different departments that work inside a channel. I would like to throw some more light on the production house side, because even though I'm working in channel right now and I have a channel experience, I have worked more on the production house side. And I would say, like the number very rightly said, that's where the actual action happens. The execution of the entire show, the responsibility lies with the production house and the team which is a part of production house. So I would like to talk more about what are the different departments that are there uh, in the production house, and what are the different job opportunities that a production house generally generates. Before coming to the topic, I would like to say that we generally have a notion that, like, when I entered MIT, I knew that I'll get into writing, or I'll get into direction, or probably I'll get into cinematography, because we know that these are things which are taught in a film school or a media school. But uh, when I actually entered the industry, I realized that there are so many other people, and there is a humongous workforce which is working round the clock along with these key stakeholders, along with the director, along with the writer, and all of them. And for them, generally there is no formal education which is given. You have to somehow find your way to be at that position. And fortunately for me, when I was doing this show called Mere Sai, I was working as a script head or script supervisor and a creative director on that show. So I thought that probably I will talk about these designations or these profiles to all of you, because these profiles are not taught. To be how to be a creative director, or how to be a group script head. This is not taught anywhere. So I thought I'll just talk about these things first. So let me start by saying that who is a script head or who is a script supervisor. So he doesn't necessarily have to be a writer himself or herself. Script head is someone who has to work with the team of writers, like Nilambar was saying. Like, there is a broad story writer, there's a screenplay writer, there is a dialogue writer. Script head is someone who actually works along with them, who has to be their bouncing board, who becomes a part of all the brainstorming session. But he is someone who has to have the knack. For example, if you are working on a certain story, कि अगले महीने में this is going to be the track of our show, or these are the characters which are coming in this next month. So क्या होता है कि generally writers have different set of ideas. They keep throwing different ideas at you. The job of script head is to understand and pick and choose the right ideas for the show. So वो भी बहुत tactfully करना पड़ता है, without hurting the writer कि यार ये अच्छी idea नहीं है. You have to be very nice and polite and tell them कि sir, this idea might work more and better in favor of the show. So we should do this, and then to put forth those ideas in front of a channel. So ये बहुत tactfully करना पड़ता है. Also, this designation has started to come to fore right now. Probably 10 years back, there was no scripted, there was no script supervisor. But with the kind of work that is going on, like Nilambar saying that you have to deliver 6 episodes or 7 episodes a week, that's a crazy work. So you definitely need a more minds and more brains to work on it. So this scripted thing is quite common nowadays in Hindi, GS especially. Marathi people are still juggling with it. The scripted does a lot of other things as well. But in Hindi, there is a dedicated person who does script supervision for the show. I will share one of my experience with doing Mere Sai was that while I was doing a script supervision for Mere Sai, my job was to read Sai Satcharitra, or to read the books from where we used to derive Sai stories, because we wanted to be authentic also. So I used to read those stories, I used to interact with the writers, we used to brainstorm, and we used to come up with the track. So that's what my job was. So this is one profile which I think was interesting. Another thing that I would like to talk about is a creative direction or a creative director. Who is this guy who's a creative director, or sometimes they call him creative head, sometimes they call him showrunner also nowadays. uh, I think creative director is someone who has a responsibility of execution of the entire show. He has to supervise the entire show creatively. So what does that mean when you say, I like the look and feel of this show? That look and feel is decided by the creative director along with the director. He has to be the bridge between channel, writers, and the director. So for example, like how Nilambar was saying that, on the concept level, the things are decided in the channel along with the writers. There is a lot of brainstorming that happens. There are a lot of cross discussions that happen. uh, so a director cannot be there at all the meetings because he's shooting probably 26 or 28 days a month. So he cannot be there at the meeting. So to brief the director कि ये decide हुआ है, this is what we are trying to do, this is what we have visualized, this is what the particular story is going to look like, this is how the particular character is going to look like and behave like. ये सब बताने की जिम्मेदारी क्रिएटिव डायरेक्टर पे होती है. Having said that, it is not just a coordination work. Creative director definitely has his own point of view about what is decided in the meeting, what is being written, what is going to be shot. He has to have his own point of view on it. So supervising the entire shoot कि ये कहाँ पे shoot होगा, ये कैसे shoot होगा, costumes किस तरह के बनने चाहिए, set किस तरह से दिखेगा, all this creative things has to be supervised by him. Along with that, he has to supervise the entire shoot process. He has to supervise the edit. He has to supervise the casting also, because like we know कि यार इस रोल के लिए ये कैरेक्टर, ये एक्टर अच्छी जाएगी. लेकिन to have certain options along with that particular actor कि यार ये नहीं, if he or she doesn't agree, who else do we have, क्या कर सकते हैं, probably he will fit the bill better, इनके auditions ले लो. That thing has to be supervised by creative director. So this is one profile that I would like to I spoke about. Another thing is that there is a VFX supervisor on the floor generally, VFX in charge or VFX supervisor. So VFX is something which is actually taught. It is not that it is not taught. There are a lot of VFX or animation studios nowadays which teach you about 3D design and everything. So in television why VFX is more important is because you must have seen a lot of mythological shows, lot of historical shows, or a lot of period dramas where you tend to use chroma, where you tend to use green screen, blue screen, जहाँ पे you have to make sure कि background अलग हो जाए उसका बाद में. So for that, VFX supervisor is extremely important. But along with that, there are small things where VFX works nowadays. Like for example, if I want to shoot a jungle, and if I am shooting a jungle in Film City, So I know for the fact that behind the film city there'll be a lot of skyscrapers, there'll be a lot of electricity wires and all that. You have to clean those to make sure that people get the feel that it is actually a jungle and not a Mumbai film city. So ये बहुत छोटी चीजें भी VFX does that for us. For example, like how Nilambar said about using animals or using kids in the show. You know, when we use animal for the show, we have to take the certificate of AWBI, Animal Welfare Board, which is very expensive. So what generally we do is we make that animal as a 3D design on VFX, and we use that. So generally people don't get to know कि अच्छा ये real है कि नहीं है. For example, I'll tell you about my experience on one of the shows that we wanted to shoot where Sai Baba is actually feeding the pigeons. So we got the real pigeons, some 8 to 10 of them, and of course they were they were flying all over the places, and they were not there whenever we used to start the shoot. They used to go somewhere. They were not, of course. How can you train them well? So what we did is that the next time we wanted to shoot with the pigeons, I asked the VFX person to make 3D design of different pigeons of different size, shapes, and of course they should look real, but different types of pigeons. And we shot the scene without the real pigeons and inserted them during the post production. So that's how it got shot in half an hour. Otherwise, we would have taken probably 3 hours to shoot the same sequence. So you have to use it very wisely also. So that's where VFX person comes into picture. Or probably you must have seen a show called Nagin, which was very popular on Colors. It was all 3D design. It was all done in VFX. So that is one profile which is very important nowadays. Then there is this person called post production head. You know, we call him pro post head. So who is a post head? Post head is someone who has to supervise the post process. The we shoot uh, a portion. We shoot probably 3 scenes in the morning. Those scenes come into edit. Those scenes have to be grabbed. Those scenes have to be edited. Then probably if there is a VFX, he has to send those scenes for the VFX. He has to make sure, because now it's a rainy season, and television works on sync sound. We generally don't do dubbing because, like, it's very uh, difficult situation. Like, you have to deliver episode each and every day, so you have to do a sync sound. So whenever there are outside audio issues, you have to dub sometimes. So he has to make sure that everything is done, and after that he has to submit the final episode with all the parameters checked properly to the channel, and that's how the episode is aired. So when the parameters are not met, when the technical parameters of video and audio are not met, the episode is rejected. So he has to be always available for people, for the backend team of channel to coordinate. And post team, or overall I would say edit team or post team, the job is extremely difficult because for them, they don't get any holidays. Like, for example, if I want to plan that I will give 4 days of holiday on Diwali, I shoot that part beforehand. I make the bank of that thing. I'm sure that next 4 or 5 episodes are already shot and sent for the edit. That person has to be there during Diwali and make sure that episodes are delivered, because you have to deliver every day. So it's kind of a difficult task for that team, that entire post team. But who has to take the maximum brunt is that post production head. But having said that, it's a very key position, and very key stakeholder in the entire process. Another thing that I wanted to speak about is the head of production. We call that person as HOP, head of production. Who is the head of production? Head of production is someone who is assigned by the production house, assigned by the producer, to make sure that he's delivering the episodes, but he's making sure that there is some profit also. For example, if a channel gives, I'm just giving a broad example. If channel is giving, for example, 1 lakh rupees per episode, okay, so it is a work of head of production to make sure that he is delivering or he's shooting the episode, he's completing the episode in 75,000, so that the producer can earn 25,000. Okay, but having said that, it is his job to understand from creative director or from the creative head कि मुझे ये requirement है. You know, there are a lot of head of productions in the business who generally who are infamous for saying no to anything that is asked for. But I would say who is a better head of production is someone कि for example कल मैंने बोला कि मुझे I want a lavish fancy garden restaurant. I want to shoot a scene in a fancy garden restaurant. So it is his job to get it at a price which is affordable to the production house. He might You might get a fancy garden restaurant one for 1 lakh a day, but if he knows someone who has a garden restaurant, he might crack a deal कि यार 4 घंटे shoot कर रहा हूँ, I will show your name, but give me at 10,000 rupees a day. He can do that, but that is his job. So ये हम लोग जो हमारी बहुत crude language में बोलते हैं जुगाड़, ये जुगाड़ करना is his job, and to get things in the given budget is his job. That is one thing. For example, I'll just give you one example of how the jugaad works. So for example, I wanted to show hospital corridor or hospital waiting area, and we were trying different studios who have this hospital setup, but it was very expensive for us. So what we did, and we wanted to shoot the next morning, and we were searching across Mumbai for this location. We were not getting it. So what we did one thing. हमारे मेकअप रूम्स थी, तो मेकअप रूम्स का एक कॉरिडोर था जहाँ पे डिफरेंट डिफरेंट डोर्स थे. वी मेड श्योर कि हम लोग उसको ही हॉस्पिटल कॉरिडोर बना दें. वहां पे हम लोग ने चेयर्स डाल दी, वहां पे हम लोग ने बेंचेस डाल दिए, वहां पे हमने हॉस्पिटल के director and HOP has to do together to save the money, of course, and to make sure that we are not compromising on the quality of the show as well. So that's why this profile is extremely important, I feel. Another profile which Nilambar spoke about and which is very infamous in our industry is creative casting director. So casting director, I think the lot of casting directors I've worked with very closely. I feel all of them have certain background of theater, be it a Marathi theater, Hindi theater, English theater, but to understand the craft of acting or to understand the nuances of acting is something which you should know to become a good casting director. Generally I've seen a lot of good casting directors जो 10 सेकंड के ऑडिशन में पहचान जाते हैं कि या ये वर्क करेगा या नहीं करेगा ये इस कैरेक्टर के लिए पर्टिकुलरली. सो ये बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. हम लोग जो बोलते हैं ना बहुत ब्रॉड टर्म में कि असली हीरे की परख जोहरी को होती है, तो वो जोहरी बनना पड़ता है उसे. तो उसमें क्या होता है कि you should have a very good database as well. I'm to get into the details of how to become a good casting director, you should have a good database. For example, if I tell my casting director कि मुझे एक फॉर एग्जांपल अमीर दिखने वाला 50 साल का बाप चाहिए जो पंजाबी हो, वर्सेस मुझे एक अमीर दिखने वाला 50 साल का बाप चाहिए जो गुजराती बिजनेसमैन हो, तो डिफरेंस है. लेकिन ही हैज टू नो कि अच्छा अगर मुझे पंजाबी दिखने वाला अमीर बाप चाहिए 50 साल की उम्र का, कि मुझे मेरे डेटाबेस में कौन लोग हैं, ही हैज टू नो इट एट द बैक ऑफ हिज हैंड कि कौन है, मैं किसको अप्रोच करूं, मुझे कल शूट करना है. बिकॉज दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ पेस दैट वी वर्क विद. सो ही नोज कि किसको मुझे कॉल करना पड़ेगा, जिसको कॉल करने से अगर वो अवेलेबल होगा वी विल बी एबल टू शूट टुमारो. सो दिस इज अगेन इंटरेस्टिंग थिंग दैट कास्टिंग डायरेक्टर हैज टू हैव विद हिम कि बहुत बड़ा डेटाबेस होना चाहिए. Then apart from that, of course, there are costume designers, there are different you have different set of associate directors, assistant directors, chief ads on the floor. There are multiple profiles available in the production house side. Like for example, if I have to compare, because I'm working in a channel right now, but if I have to compare that, if there are 10 people working on one particular show from a channel side, probably there are 60 people working outside channel from the production house side on that particular show. That this is the kind of division that it is right now, and it has always been like that, frankly, and it is always expanding. So there are different profiles being made each and every year. कुछ ना कुछ requirements बढ़ती रहती है, आती रहती है, but I feel uh, television as an industry is always expanding, always growing. Even when COVID was going on, I realized people used to say that कि अभी OTT बढ़ गया है, ये हो गया है, वो हो गया है, but I think what Nilambar said is that and I completely agree with him, is that uh, television audience is very different from OTT audience. Television की audience ही अलग है. We cater to, for example, at least the shows that I'm doing, I'm catering to 30-35 plus old women from different stratas, of course, not just socioeconomic A or socioeconomic B. There are different socioeconomic classes as well. But at least as far as demography of Maharashtra is concerned, we cater to different women of different age groups. But it is always expanding. The television, how much ever you feel कि क्या किस तरह content बन रहा है, we make it basis the research that is given to us, basis the research or insights that are given to us कि इस तरह का शो इस टाइम स्लॉट पे चलेगा, या इस तरह का शो इस टाइम स्लॉट पे ज्यादा वर्क करेगा. Basis that we make the show. So this is all from my side. These are the different types of profiles that I wanted to talk about. Thank you.
Wonderful. Yeah, Siddharth, it has been really wonderful.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. But does anyone have questions for Siddharth, sir? Now that it is explained a lot about the production and the entire aspects of it. Anyone from the students have questions for Siddharth, sir? Sir, Surashi, sir, would you like to ask some questions?
Oh, sure. Yes, Siddharth, I know I was particularly fascinated when you hit upon the point of the animal interest. While you're bringing some animal character, or probably animal is used as a prop at times, based upon the script that demands. Now, what happens is it also possible that, without really, talking from the production side, you do not invest your money, time and efforts, getting into a VFX, and probably use some stock footages and edit it so that, you can stitch it along with and, make it look like, as if it's a part. So can you throw some light on that? What exactly do you do in such cases?
Yes. So, like you said, sometimes we make sure, for example, if the character is somewhere in a particular area, and the animals need not be shown in that particular frame. If they are there, but they can be shown in a different shot, then we definitely use the stock footage. But when, for example, if you want that the character has to come and touch a cow or a horse, for example, in that particular situation, either we have to get the real animal, or we have to get the 3D model. So getting 3D models sometimes at this point of time becomes very difficult, because you should give a feel of a touch, that that the actor or character is touching that animal, becomes difficult, but still it is doable and it is still feasible, rather than actually working with that particular animal. Because as I said, there are different permissions which are involved. There's a lot of money that is involved. You have to make sure that you're not troubling the animals, and nobody wants to do that, basically. So in those cases we use the 3D models. But when you have a situation where the character is somewhere else, and you can still show a different shot of a pre-shot shot of different animals, then we use different shots, then we use the footage that we have already with us in that case.
Excellent. There is also something which I would like to ask. Since the students have not asked it, I would like to ask it, which would benefit the student ultimately. In the broadcast media, what I understand, also after listening to you and Nilamba, primarily a professional needs to be very good in the combined efforts of creativity, decision making, and having the right business sense.
Right.
Among these three, which one do you think goes higher than the others? And as a student right now in the first year or in the second year in the Institute of Mass Media, should primarily focus their attention towards?
This is it's a very difficult question, I would say, because and if I have to tell you, I'm sure my bosses won't agree with me, but I think being a creative person, you have to think from your heart first.
Correct.
Forget what क्या कहते हैं उसे कि इसके क्या रिपोर्केशंस होंगे मुझे मालूम नहीं होता कभी कभी आई थिंक कि इफ आई एम कन्विंस्ड अबाउट अ पर्टिकुलर स्टोरी इफ आई एम कन्विंस्ड अबाउट द वे पर्टिकुलर कैरेक्टर इज सीमिंग टू मी देन आई मेक श्योर दैट आई एम स्टिकिंग टू इट कभी कभी ये होता है देयर इज अ रिसर्च डिपार्टमेंट देयर आर पीपल हु ट्राई टू टेल यू कि नहीं नहीं यार this will not work because research tells you this will not work because research or inside team is telling you something else.
Yes.
But I think as a creative person you should be able to answer yourself well and you should be able to justify yourself well first because you are the one who's creating it. Like for example, since I'm working in a creative team of a channel, I have certain conviction with which I have worked on particular show or with which I have worked on a particular character. So if I am conceiving that character, I think I should have a clear vision in my mind कि मुझे ये करना है. Rest of the things can be looked after. मतलब बाद में अगर for example if I'm working on particular character and if 2 weeks down the line if I get a research insight कि यार इसमें से ना ये चीज निकाल तो बाकी सब अच्छा है, I will do the course correction. I will not say कि I will not do it. But let me do it my way at least. Let me start at least my way. Let me go with my conviction at least.
Correct.
So I think that is more important. बाकी की चीजें होती रहेंगी.
There is one more thing, and thanks for giving a crisp answer to that question. There is one more thing which I would like to ask. Since you are in Zee Marathi, how do you compare the regional broadcast media versus the Hindi national into bracket?
Yeah.
Broadcast media. Where do you think are the dynamics moving?
Yeah. I think the basic difference is money. Definitely money. Because if I have to compare my last job doing a Hindi show versus the kind of job that I'm doing right now, and producing a Marathi show or creating a Marathi show, I think we work at probably 1/5 of the budget, or probably 1/7 of the budget. It is that low. But having said that, we don't want to compromise on the quality. So क्या होता है ना कि storytelling remains the same. Audience एक यूपी में देखने वाली औरत और एक महाराष्ट्र के किसी छोटे से विलेज में देखने वाली औरत, उनका दिल वही होता है. वो भी एक माँ होती है, वो भी एक गृहिणी होती है. सो उनके सेंसिबिलिटीज बहुत सिमिलर होते हैं. क्या बदलता है, पेरिफेरल चीजें बदल जाती है. लेकिन मुझे लगता है दैट्स द ओनली डिफरेंस. अदरवाइज आई थिंक if you are a good storyteller, language doesn't matter, I think. But having said that, of course, only thing that matters is कि बजट बदल जाता है. Of course, बजट क्यों बदलता है? Because if I am catering to only Maharashtra and Goa for Zee Marathi, and the people who are outside India who like to watch Marathi content on ZEE5 probably or Hotstar, versus I am catering to a large set of audience who understand Hindi, who are from Hindi belt, or even the South Indians, whoever. मतलब it's not just about the Hindi belt per se. So ऑडियंस का स्केल बढ़ जाता है, इसलिए बजट भी बढ़ जाते हैं. ऑडियंस का स्केल कम हो जाता है तो बजट्स कम हो जाते हैं. इट इज दैट क्लियर रेशो. इट इज डायरेक्टली प्रोपोर्शनल, सो टू से. बट हैविंग सेड दैट, कंटेंट इज कंटेंट. अच्छा कंटेंट इज अच्छा कंटेंट, बुरा कंटेंट इज बुरा कंटेंट, irrespective of the language.
Absolutely. Yes. So I believe I've asked my questions. Yes, Shivani, you may go ahead. With anybody else wanting to ask some question, please feel free.
I think I would like to ask a question. See, for a person or an individual entering into the industry, I mean, you having said that, you have a lot of experience in this industry already. So there would be times when you feel like a very downfall, or very, where you're not giving your best or something or the other. I mean, as in you're giving your best, but sometimes it happens that the results are not as you expect. So how do you deal with it? Or especially in a fast moving industry where no one is going to come and tell you, no, no, you'll do it. How do you self deal with it? So can you tell me about it?
With television, I would say, uh, like for example, I'm doing 3 shows right now. Uh, One show, Shiva, the story of a tomboyish girl, is the number one show on the channel right now. Versus the other show which I'm doing, Sara Khadija, is it's the lowest show on the channel right now. So how much ever I feel happy about Shiva, I keep feeling bad for Sara Khadija आंटी कि यार ये क्यों नहीं work कर रहा है. And we keep digging into it. We keep meeting writers. We keep brainstorming. We keep asking the research team. So there are phases, of course. There are phases of the channel as well. For example, Zee Marathi was a pioneer, probably 3 years down before. Now it is at the second position. So we are working day and night to make sure that we are again achieving our targets. But targets should the the क्या कहते हैं, the kick is कि when you go into any function, any family function, or when you meet random people and they say अरे I we watch your show, हाँ मजा आता है देखने में, that is our kick. So मुझे लगता है कि we work for that kick, we don't work for anything else. पैसे, other things don't matter. What matters is when people are happy seeing our work. मतलब we go on different research immersions also, no? So I was traveling to Nashik last month, and there was this lady who was from a very lower middle class, or I would say from a very poor background, and she had a lot of issues in her life, and she was actually crying when she was talking to us. And I asked her ki, what is your solace? So how you find your peace? And she says, 6:30 से 11 I watch television. That gives me a peace of mind and energy to work for the next day. So मुझे लगा कि such a big responsibility that we have on our shoulders कि मुझे ये करना है. मुझे I'm working for that lady. I'm working for different such ladies who find happiness watching our content. So that is more important to us. तो वो लो निकल जाता है कभी-कभी ऐसे लोगों को मिलने के बाद.
And I believe very rightly said, and thanks for sharing that example, Siddha. I believe that is the core of this particular field of broadcasting media, which
Yeah.
is impacting a large number of audience across socioeconomic classes, across boundaries, across regions. And
Yes.
with an example like that, I believe that is so very good, and I believe so fulfilling, for you. So that's excellent.
Yes. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for having me. Uh, if there are no more questions, I would like to actually leave the session because I have a meeting lined up. If you
All
all
right.
can please
So,
allow me
Thank,
to leave.
thank you, Siddharth. Thank you. You were brilliant. It was very nice listening to you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, Pooja. Thanks, Shivani.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
sir. Thanks,
much.
sir.
thank you,
Thanks
Siddha,
so
for
much.
sparing your time and
Yes.
sharing your insights and experiences to value add in the learning of the participants here. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye. Do we have a guest, that is Prasanjit Wagmare sir, in the meeting? Please
Yes,
Yes,
Present,
yes,
ma'am.
let's
yes.
welcome.
Present, ma'am.
Let us welcome Prasanjit. Shivani.
I'm so sorry, I could not see you on the screen. That's so confused. I just needed to confirm.
Prasanjit, may I request you to please put your camera on?
Okay.
Hi,
Can you hear
Prasanjit.
me and see me?
How are you, Prasanjit?
Badhiya, badhiya. How are you, sir?
Very fine. So nice to see you, and thanks for being here with us on the webinar. And we are very excited and very eager to hear from you. And I believe equally it is all the participants are very eager to hear and learn things from you about the field.
Yes, yes,
So
definitely.
nice to it feels so nice to have you here.
Same here, same here.
Let me introduce him to all our students. So, Prasanjit Wagmare sir, he is the head for creative solutions at the Hindustan Times Media. Sir is a creative thinker, brand content and a marketing enthusiast, and he has over 12 years of experience in the marketing field. So, Mr. Wagmare is actually a creative and a self-driven head with expertise in strategic planning, integrated marketing campaigns, brand and communication strategy development. And he's also well versed in the areas of creative direction, conceptualization, creative brief development, media planning and implementation, and client servicing for reputed clients such as Ola Entertainment and ITC Limited as well. So basically, all the students who are entering into the client servicing and the media field would be really grateful if you could say a few words. So first of all, let me like welcome. It's actually an immense pleasure for us to have you on board today and guide us with the marketing perspective of this field.
सुपर सुपर ये सब लिंक्डइन से उठाया क्या शिवानी
Yes.
ये इधर all right do we have to have a monologue here or can we have a dialogue like where I can ask questions, student can ask questions and
I think you should definitely you ask questions where everyone is like interacting with you and it will be a fun session as well.
yeah because you have given me the third slot अब तक तो सब बोर हो गए होंगे ना so I thought okay, let's make it
I'm
a
so
little
sorry.
interactive. What say guys, should we do it a question answer round?
Come on, everyone. I think everyone should switch on their camera so like
Yeah, that would be great.
it will be easy for everyone to like speak and interact as well.
Yes, please do that. Those who can open their camera, please do that, guys.
Thank you, Tia. Everyone actually. There's Kusum, Vaibhavi, Rimjim, Swapnil, Geeta, Samiksha, Leonel, Aman, and I could see only these right now. But yeah, it would be
Those who
lovely.
are at home, those who are at home can take their time to wear t-shirts and all because I know how these meetings are.
And Prasenjit, I feel it would be more exciting to hear from you because the previous speakers before you were from TV and you happen to be from the radio side, completing
Yes.
the podcast 360 degree. So I
Yes.
believe it would be really wonderful things coming from the audio side of the audiovisual media.
That's why I said के open your cameras because radio पे तो हम दिखते नहीं है at least
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
Yes, yes. Yes. This time you will hear the radio and see the radio.
Oh, lovely. No problem, Suprita.
Okay, no problem, Suprita. Yeah.
All right, so शुरू करें. Let's go ahead, okay? Okay, simple thing है ना. बहुत सालों पहले एक मूवी आई थी आइस एज नाम की. So I'm sure most of you have seen it. You won't be surprised if I say that we still live in ice age. Now that ICE stands for information, communication, and entertainment. Whatever mass media you consume, whatever media you consume for that matter, have to have all these three things. And every media house or a mass media house will have different departments, will have different roles which are allocated to everyone, according to their expertise and all. So now radio is supposed to be the grandfather of mass media. The reason why I tell you that because it's the first electronic media that came into existence. So हम लोग बहुत पुराने डायनासोर आप बोल सकते हैं, those people who are working in radio, है ना? So let me tell you how a radio station is functions or how it's set up. So how many of you heard of Red FM? So their tagline says "Bajate Raho." The station that I work for, it's Fever FM. It says "Happening Hai." Then you have Mirchi, जो कहता है कि मिर्ची सुनने वाले always खुश. Radio City कहता है कि रग रग में दौड़े city. Now, if you observe, every station has a different thing to say. And that is the genre or that is the stationality that every radio station has in their core, in their genes. So when I say Bajate Raho, so all of a sudden you have a radio station which is very on your face type, very aggressive type, someone who is a voice of people. When I say happening here, we talk about young, fun and young Mumbai. Fun and Young Bangalore's and all that people. So, that's how every radio station is defined by their stationality. So that's a made up word for station personality. And as a creative person, this is our job to come up with fancy word to say the same thing, you know. So when it comes to stationality, हर एक radio station का ने there are important departments. So let's talk about programming department first. Now in programming, you have your RJs, the show producers, music managers, all these people come into this department. Now the job of this department is to, RJs आपने सुने होंगे, you have your favorite RJs. So every RJ comes with their own personality. It's not like कि आपने करण जौहर को ले लिया and ask him to make a movie like Anurag Kashyap. So जैसे हर स्टेशन की एक स्टेशनैलिटी होती है, you have to have an RJ who goes with that stationality, who goes with the sound of that station. Then you have a producer जिनका काम है to work closely with the RJs and create shows that are, थोड़ा हटके हो, people should like it, you play the music that everybody likes, and that's how every station behaves. There is no rocket science in it. सेकेंड डिपार्टमेंट आता है सेल्स, क्योंकि आपने प्रोग्रामिंग तो अच्छी कर ली, यू गॉट लॉट ऑफ गुड आरजेस इन योर स्टेशन, सारा शो अच्छा चल रहा है, बट खाने पीने के लिए भी तो सामान चाहिए ना कुछ. सो दैट्स वेयर द मनी कम्स फ्रॉम फॉर द रेडियो स्टेशन, वेयर योर सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट or the sales people go out, they meet with different clients, they get the client brief in, they brief the programming team, and that's how we do radio spots, jingle, we create characters and all and all and all. Now there is one team that bridges the gap between programming and sales, which is creative solutions. Because what happened, people are getting smarter day by day. Now if you ask any marketer, okay, what do you want to play on the radio, they would say the regular ad I keep on playing, what else I can do. So that's when creative solution team creates, various programs, client funded shows, they create characters, they create music jingles, they create a lot of radio utilities like your traffic update, your time checks and all. And that's how a typical radio stations work. Now, my topic of discussion today is the opportunities in broadcasting media. Now, see, I'll be very honest with you. There is no set a book that you can read or any constitution that you can follow to get absorbed in any kind of department. Because अगर आप देखोगे, in fact, not just in electronic media or radio, but in entire radio segment, you will see people from different background. So one of the RJs that I worked with, he was a dentist by profession. One of the salesperson that I worked with, that person has did his engineering. So if I have to say कि मुझे media में enter करना है, तो I need to have a specific degree. Yes, it will help you as a good launchpad, which helped me also when I was a student of MAT. It helped me as a good launch pad. And over the period of time, I have learned that, it's the hunger in you that will take you places. Now, everybody has their own wish के अगर जैसे ही मैं मीडिया में एंटर करता हूँ, I want the world revolved around me. That's a typical, every new entrance or every individual's thinking. The ideas that I'm giving should be, groundbreaking. There should be money invested in my ideas that I'm giving. But that's partial reality. Because as I said, that the moment you enter into a media and the moment you take up a baton of working for a company which is sales driven, or where you create your creative tools which are sales driven, you have to have a boundary where you need to follow the constitution of the sales brand message, the product brand message, and you integrate your creativity in that. That's how typically a radio industry works. Now, if you have any question, I'm keeping it little ambiguous because I want more question to come in from you. Anything that you have in mind, please shoot. कुछ भी, there are no stupid questions, by the way, there are only stupid answers. So I have to be careful here.
I think we should continue. Acha, no, Samiksha has question. Please,
Yes,
Samiksha.
Amiksha.
Sir, do you think radio will any in coming few years will extinct because it is now also considered as a traditional form of media?
Okay. See, this thing is going on for years now. So I'll tell you what happens. People say your music streaming platform is your biggest enemy. For example, your Spotify, your YouTube music, and all. Because what people think is, I listen to radio, I consume radio because I want to hear my favorite song. But Samisha, when was the last time you updated your playlist? You keep on playing the same songs, those 30, 40 songs that you love, and you keep on playing them. Now, radio add a sense of surprise there. The moment you hear a song on radio, you all of a sudden feel like, अरे यार, ये गाना कितने टाइम के बाद सुना मैंने. And then you put that song in your playlist. So radio plays a good feeder medium to your playlist. And song is one part. You get to have your traffic updates, your daily updates. You can win something by playing on the contest. And the question is, for any marketeer or any brand, is not the risk of taking radio, is the risk of avoiding the radio. Because radio is a very hyper local medium. मैं रेडियो में बैंगलोर में बैठकर आई कैनॉट डू प्रोडक्ट मार्केटिंग फॉर मुंबई ब्रांड. So I give you the closest to the hyper customers. So that's the hyper local medium that radio offers, and everybody loves to be on radio. Let me tell you that. What your question stands, is it a dying medium? No, it's not a dying medium. Though radio is reinventing itself in many fold. जैसे events is one of the extension that many of the radio stations have taken. So they create music events, they create stand-up comedy events, they create a lot of folk events and all that stuff where people usually come, and that's another way of making money. Then podcast is one thing, then another, so that's how things are going well for radio. So yes, your question was valid, and I hope I answered your question.
Yes,
To
sir.
add on
Thank
to
you.
this, I think I would like to add on to what Prasenjit says as an answer to Samiksha. Samiksha, your question is very interesting. In fact, I would like to say, as per my own experience, radio probably can, to a lot of extent, can be looked at hyper locally, an alternative to the local newspaper. Because I will give you an example. Okay, I live in Thane and I drive down to Bandra every day. Bandra is MIT Institute of Mass Media over here. So while I drive for 2+ hours, and then the monsoon, it is more dangerous and more time consuming one way. I definitely consume a lot of radio content. Listening while I drive. And even though I have missed reading the newspaper, as I browse through the radio channels, I get to not just hear to songs, but a lot of news updates, lot of brand promotions, lot of advertisements. Probably I know what is happening in the traffic. I know what is happening in politics. I get to hear what is happening in the latest product launch done by some company. So it can be looked at to a certain extent. If you're not reading the newspaper, local news updates can come from the radio channels itself. So in fact, radio is not at all dying, not even in the next several years. But then can very well be an alternative to the print consumption.
Correct.
Thank you,
It
sir.
can be, absolutely. अच्छा, how many of you want to become an RJ? कितने लोग हैं फिलहाल who wants to become a broadcaster, announcer, radio jockey? Because radio कहते हैं ना, the first thing that everybody has, a picture आता है कि अगर मैं किसी को कहता हूँ कि I work for a private FM station or a radio station, तो सिर्फ आप RJ हो क्या? Any reason behind this? What do you think? क्या हो सकता है?
I think it's a stereotype with people, especially. We have a mindset that radio is equals to RJ. So We don't know the other departments in the radio industry,
Exactly.
honestly. We're just like radio is equals to RJ.
See, you're not entirely wrong, because that's the what do you call it, the front face of any media. अगर मैं कहता हूँ कि मैं I work for a television industry, they will ask, are you a part of a daily soap programs? If I work for a digital medium, they will say, are you from the influence background? So that's how the world is divided in electronic media, mass media. And the reason why I asked this question is, being an RJ is a fun thing. It's a fun job. You get to connect with a lot of people, you get fame, you know, and the most important thing is there are listeners for you. क्योंकि आजकल के ज़माने में ना, everybody is in that kind of rush where they want someone to listen to them, and that's the job of RJ. So that's why I asked कि किसी को RJ बनना है क्या? Because there were days when people used to think कि जिनकी आवाज अच्छी है, those people can be an RJ, but that myth has broken long time ago. See, the idea is not the sound that you hear. What kind of information that sound brings is very, very important. So that's what
At one
makes
point
you
of time, it was Mr. Amin Sayani who was synonymous with the radio
correct.
world in India. From
Correct.
there to now, where there are variety of radio channels, and they have their own RJs and their own voices, and probably it is no longer the voice. It is absolutely right. The content that you deliver, the message that you convey, and the way you are able to engage with the target audience that each of the radio channel has.
Correct. And the most abused line in electronic media is content is the king. Though many of us fail to deliver that, but we love to say that.
It's like sometimes we listen to Jitu Raj or we listen to Malishka. We like listening to them because Jitu Raj gives so much information in such different ways, languages, and you just in awe. Like he knows Marathi, Gujarati, everything, and he talks so beautifully. Is that's when you want to listen to him more and more. You'd never get bored of these two RJs. Malishka is always informing you about the Mumbai city itself, as in a whole holistic view. So,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, and you fall in love with the kind of voice that you hear and the kind of information that that voice brings. There are so many listeners I have seen who have head over heels with RJs without seeing them. Imagine that. So that's the power of sound or a voice, I can say. That's what
So there
it
was
all.
this one time I was at Andrews College for an event, and the crowd was rushing to one corner, and I was like, "What is happening?" So it seems Jitu Raj was there. So
Mhm.
people have not seen him, but he's a celebrity just by his voice.
Correct.
That
Correct.
was
Correct.
that was
Correct.
amazing.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now another department, as I said, जैसे कि programming में हो गया, everybody wants to be an RJ when it comes to radio. There is very important uh, job title that you have in radio is a show producer. Now, what is the job of show producer? Now, okay, now here is the thing. आप एक मूवी बनाते हो, you see, directed by Anurag Kashyap or directed by Karan Johar, but there is a big team behind that director, that name, which comes up with story, which comes up with research, which comes up with production, and that is the job of a producer. So that job of a producer is to understand the show tonality and come up with a topic for the day. So every day there has to be a freshness around it. It has to have a local connect. It has to have liking for the listeners, and it should be delivered in a way that you like it. For example, अगर मैं आपको बोलूँ कि World Fertility Day is coming up, and go ahead and do your fertility check, for example. But if I turn this thing and say 1 in 4 couples are going through infertility, now you have a different perspective or aspect to look at the things. So that's what the job of a producer is, to how you use the data or the information that you have and give it to the listener. आप उसको किस तरह से interesting बना सकते हैं. That's how it is. So that's the job of a producer. So producer plays a very important role in any success of RJ. RJ तो एक आवाज है ना, आप उसको सुनते हो. and RJ says the thing that he gets from the producer. So the real hero for any show is the show producer, right? Then another team comes that handles the sales, which meet various clients in a given day, who reach out to maximum people, who try to get the business from them, and which is a very tough job, let me tell you. And nobody comes into this department willingly. But at the end of the day, there are some skills that everybody possesses, and those who have done well in sales have done well in life. There are no limits when it comes to the kind of money that you can make via sales. Then, as I said, third department is my department, which is creative solution. So my job is to understand the brand message from the client, and my job is to create a communication for that brand which goes well with the station's personality. So if my radio station is playing, let's say, love songs or songs that are romantic, I cannot talk about the aggressive nature of the brand message. It has to go with my brand stationality, and that's how the creative department thing work. Now questions. सो गए क्या सारे?
Does anyone have
Guys,
questions?
guys, अगर बोर हो रहा है तो बोल दो. Let's
Yeah.
we can create something else also. We can do one gaming session also.
Sarkar sir, you were saying something.
Yeah, Shivani, you may ask your questions as well while you're taking.
I did ask earlier. I'm preparing. If I have any, I'll definitely ask.
So, Prasenjit, again, probably I would like to initiate a small discussion here. Since the other speakers spoke about TV content, visual content, and the producers, what exactly they do. If someone really, chooses to, understand the dynamics and the opportunities, challenges in becoming a radio content producer to a TV content producer. What exactly is the difference, and what exactly should one weigh to proceed ahead in the direction? Prasenjit, if you can throw some light on that.
Sure. See, honestly, there is not much difference when it comes to audio video mediums producer or just an audio medium producer. As I said, that I started this topic with saying that the most abused line that you hear in any electronic media is content is the king. And producer, be it that person should be working in Z Marathi, if that person is working for National Geographic Channel, or any sports department like Star Sports and all. The idea of a producer is to create content that is consumable, in simple word. So if suppose I am a let's say I own a hotel, I own a restaurant, and I have seen there are so many people from Gujarati communities staying within my locality. So the first thing that I will add in menu is the thing that is consumed the most by Gujarati communities, which is your dhoklas, your fafdas, and all. And that's what every show producer does. They understand, okay, my channel or my medium is talking to a specific consumer in a certain way. My job is to create something which is consumable for him. And that's how. So, a TV producer may have extra work on his plate because he have to go for the kind of look that show will have. He have to finalize a lot of things, which is also kind of applicable to audio medium as well, where you have RJs who are very much present on digital platform as well. And the crux of every radio show is the kind of guest that you brings in, how different those guests are, what kind of story they have to tell. And that's how a show producer, same but different. That's how I can put it through.
A small question from my side. It might be a little bit overlapping, but how the other, like Siddhav and Nilambar were talking about, they have a target audience. So they decide their shows according to those timings, when the housewives are free. So that's the time they're going to watch these shows. But with radio coming in a picture, since it is mostly the audience who are driving or maybe in the car or some. So how do you plan what time, what shows, how it's going to be, going on air, so you can target the right people at the right time. So
Right. Beautiful question. So, see, there is something called as prime time slash drive time for radios, which is your morning prime time, which starts from, let's say, for a city like Mumbai, it starts at 7. For any other city, it starts at 8. And 8 a.m. to, let's say, 10:30, 11, 12 p.m., 12 noon. And the evening drive time starts at, let's say, around 5 p.m., goes up to 8:39 given the type of traffic that we have. Now, the important factor here, the drive time also changes according to the weather that you live in. If suppose it's raining in Mumbai, you would be stuck in traffic for a longer period of time. So all of a sudden you have X amount of added listeners at that point of time. So yes, these prime times are very crucial. That's the time you can hear the highest number of listenership. That's the time most of the brand would love to communicate their message because they know it is reaching to the maximum people. That's how these things work. So yes, there are shows that are designed according to the time band as well. So if you see, there are so many shows which are very women oriented or a female oriented, which are playing in the afternoon. So we have a show called Superwoman here, hosted by RJ Stuti, who features a lot of women achievers in her show. And that show goes on between afternoon time. So yes, time is very, very important when it comes to designing your product, designing your show, designing your entire day. And it's not different from television, as I said, that you always have to understand कि आप किस तरह के लोगों से बात करना चाह रहे हो at what time.
just one more addition to that thing. Suppose it was not raining in the morning, you have a day decided the show after another show, and suddenly it starts raining, and like your prime time changes, like you mentioned, you have a larger section of a prime. Do you take on the spot decisions to change these shows, or you get on the spot brands to come up and say that we want to be on air? And is it are there on spot changes happening?
Right, right. See, it's a wonderful question that you have asked because it was not in my mind, but it's a very important point. Okay, what radio offers you is the flexibility. For example, एक टेलीविजन शो ले लेते हैं. टेलीविजन शो के हमने एक महीना पहले 10 एपिसोड शूट कर लिए हैं एंड आई हैव टू पुट दोस 10 एपिसोड इन द नेक्स्ट 10 डेज. अब ये प्रोडक्ट तो रेडी है, देयर इज नथिंग दैट यू कैन डू मच. बट इन रेडियो यू कैन चेंज लाइक दिस. सुबह चलाया हुआ रेडियो स्पॉट अगर क्लाइंट को पसंद नहीं आ रहा है, दैट कैन बी चेंज्ड इन द इवनिंग. इस घंटे में चली हुई चीज यू गॉट टू नो कि इस पे रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आ रहा है, यू कैन जंप टू अनदर थिंग. And as I said, that when there is a critical situation that your city is facing, radio is the first thing that people go to because that's where you get the timely updates. Uh, uh, example is good, but the situation is bad when the Mumbai terror attack happened. All the radio stations were live beyond their point. They were giving out the information, they were reaching out to people, giving out the helpline number where they can call and check what is happening over there. Are their loved one or the close people are got stuck in this kind of a mess. So that's the power of radio, and that's where most of the brand have leveraged that power. There are brand like Lazy Boy, which is completely developed by radio industry. A gaming platform like PlayStation use are the biggest spender of radio. Can you believe that? So it's the power of radio. As I said, that with every hour you have a different listener, and you can change it. You can add that flexibility to your entire programming. And that's why I said the show of a role of a producer is very important, because he is the person or she is the person who have her ears, eyes, brain open at all the time.
Does anyone else have questions? Or should we
Aman
move on?
Sharma, do you have any question? That is the name that is popping on my. Anybody, guys? ये कौन सी बैच है by the way? M15, 16?
No, Shivani Naik happens to be from the M19 batch, who was the host today, and the others are from the about to begin PGP batch, and as well as there are participants from outside MET from other institutions also.
Superb, superb, superb. So let me tell you my story, guys. I started my journey with MET College. I was part of M5 batch, the most notorious batch. Let me tell you that. And trust me, the kind of alumni, the kind of faculties we had at the college, that really helped us to understand media better, to understand the game of media better. So yes, I would really say this with a lot of pride that MET has a big role in shaping up my career. Yes, guys.
That
Anybody
is
else?
absolutely awesome, and that's really wonderful. Prasenjit, I would like to also mention that you also happen to be one of our star alumni, and the institute is proud of you. The institute really appreciates the way you have progressed in your career and reached the position where you are with an authority to speak on this subject. So we feel really proud to have produced a fabulous broadcasting media professional that you are today. And we also look forward to making many more Prasanjit Wagmares of the future from the people who have joined in this webinar today, from the present batch, from the batch about to start, and the batches that would come ahead in the future years.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's fun to connect with a lot of fresh minds because it adds a fresh perspective to your thinking also. Because I was listening to two other gentlemen before joining in, and it's a good refresher course that the oldies like me go through, because we learn a lot and then keep applying it, and that the cycle keep on going. So the fresh perspective always helps.
Prasanjit, they were a batch older than you as well, so you are not an oldie. They were your seniors. But personally, I am a big fan of radio. The moment I sit in my car, my radio button is always on. I don't listen to music on Bluetooth, but I listen to the radio.
Lovely, lovely. And I'm sure Mr. Sarkar, Dr. Sarkar, who travels from Thane, because that's where I used to travel from. So I understand the kind of pain he must be going through.
But I believe it's really wonderful where there is a radio accompanying you, and you are engaged while you're listening to things, and consuming all sort of entertainment, information, infotainment, and making your day very pleasurable and very entertaining, and also very informed. So I believe radio is a part of you, and you become a part of the radio world while you're consuming it. That is not something which can probably happen with print or probably with TV is the most engaging, but then I personally do not find much of time to consume TV content. Radio happens to be largely with me, so I have a different regard for it. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
yes, so any questions, Shivani, coming from any participant? Or our,
Anyone?
panel?
Sorry, please.
Yeah.
You were saying something, sir? Sarkar, sir, you were saying something.
No, I was asking, Shivani, if you see any questions coming for our panel speaker and from anybody in the participants.
Guys, ask question. These guys are paying me a lot of money to be on this webinar. Don't waste the money. You can ask the question.
Go ahead, feel free. Ask your doubts, ask your questions, whatever you may have. Yeah.
If anyone has question, they can raise hand or they can directly ask questions if they have it. I don't think so. Anyone has questions as of yet, but I would request one thing since we should have done it earlier only. I would want everyone to switch on their cameras so that we can take a picture, as in like we all attended this meeting.
A group
With all the
picture which
esteemed,
was in the memory.
yeah, with all the esteemed speakers, and like right now we have only Prasanjit sir with us.
Mr.
Wow.
Pereira, your camera was off all the time. Now the picture का time आया तो चालू कर दिया camera.
Your mic is off now.
Yeah. Lionel, I believe you're trying to say something. Put your mic on.
His mic is not working, I'm guessing.
I think we can't hear you.
Okay, can everyone please switch on their cameras? There's Vaibhavi, Rimjim, Aman, KHAV, Ashkor, and everyone.
Samiksha, Aman, yeah.
So I think Divya ma'am, are you taking the screenshot?
Yes. Just give me a second.
Okay. Let me know once you're done.
Sure.
Just tell me when you're clicking, I'll give you a smile.
You keep on smiling, sir. You don't know she'll click.
Shivani, we are done.
See, I told you.
Fantastic.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. But before ending, I would. Okay, the Siddharth, it was saying it was a fun session indeed. The Chi says I don't have a camera. Okay, that's all right.
कौन से जमाने का लैपटॉप है सिद्धार्थ?
I think he is preparing to be a part of the radio. And
I was just about to say that. Only audio, no visual.
only audio, no video. Okay.
All right. So I would like to say a few words as a part of vote of thanks. Actually, now that we've witnessed an enlightening and encouraging session, it's an immense pleasure to propose a heartfelt vote of thanks to all our esteemed guests, the industry experts who graced our campus with this valuable insights and the experiences they've had. Their presence itself has been an inspiration to all of us, and their words have not only broadened our horizons, but have also ignited a spark of curiosity and ambition within us, especially for the upcoming batch. We're truly grateful for their willingness to share their time, their expertise, and wisdom with us. I would like to extend a sincere gratitude towards Nilambar sir, Siddhav sir, and also Prasanjit sir for their valuable contribution. Their guidance will undoubtedly shape our future endeavors in the field of media and communication. Thank you so much. But before ending the webinar, our dean, Mr. Subrashit sir, would like to say a few words about the entire webinar.
Thank you, Shivani. I would like to, add on to your vote of thanks, but not really a vote of thanks. But then, I express my gratitude to the three wonderful speakers that we have had in the webinar today, who also happen to be our star alumni. So, thank you, each one of you, since the others are not here. Thanks a lot, Prasanjit, for taking the time out to be a part of this webinar. And sharing your insights, wisdom, and guidance for our upcoming radio professionals and broadcasting media professionals in the making. I would like to thank my colleagues, Pooja Bhoir madam, Divya madam, Mr. Lakshman, to for working together, being along with me, and also my colleague Mr. Suman to be with me and making this program happen. I express my gratitude to our Marcom department in particular. They had designed our communication and put it on the social media, which we utilize further to extend our invitations to all the institutions. So thanks a lot to them. Thanks immensely to our ERP and networking department, because of whom this entire webinar is happening in the right spirit, in an uninterrupted, undisturbed manner. So we owe a lot of thanks to you all. And big thanks to M19 batch participants, the PGP batch participants, and also the very eager, curious participants from other institutions who probably can, become a part of MET soon in the near future as we look at. So immense thanks to each one of you as participants. Because of your participation, the event could happen successfully. And I believe each one of us, including me, have gathered and a lot of valuable information from our speakers. So I thank each one of you. Yes, Pooja madam, Divya madam, you can take the event to the closure.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Thank you very much.